It really shouldn't have been a kick in the nuts. I hate to say that you were duped. You know, you were duped by Rand in that sense. And you said position himself as if he was the inheritor of Ron's legacy, and he never was. He never has been. And he kind of led people along with that and let people think that by his last name that he didn't fall far from the tree, but he obviously fell pretty far and rolled a ways downhill. So he's always been a conservative and not a libertarian, and he's never identified as a libertarian. So I think it's important to keep that perspective. And there are a lot of people with different reasons and speculations as to why. But there are lots of people besides Rand who are trying to co-opt the liberty movement. They just see that Rand is the easiest way in. And you look at people like Jack Hunter, who's also a conservative who got himself weaseled into the campaign as the official blogger thanks to a bad hiring decision, or perhaps a good hiring decision by Jesse Benton, who is the main leech on Ron Paul. And it remains to be seen just how self-motivated Jesse Benton is, whether it was his own scheming that led him to subvert the Ron Paul campaign for his own benefit, or if it was outside forces, possibly led, manipulated by Trygve V. Olsen, the famous interventionist of the International Republican Institute. You know, so it really, time will tell. But if nothing else, this is kind of separating the core of the movement from those who would try to co-opt it the way that the Tea Party was co-opted.
Well, I just know I want to be part of the tireless minority who never stops fighting for principles, whether I'm right or wrong about those principles.
It's not going to be that way, man. It's not going to be that way, because you know what? Sooner or later, we're going to be the majority. And you have that to look forward to.
Well, we'll see what happens. Politics is a very disgusting business, and I, for one, would like to stay far away from it. But, of course, we do need people inside the system. We want to win allies, work with people. You know, it's just an interesting week, let's put it that way. Where do things go forward for your movements, for the people you work with? You've been leading Troops for Ron Paul and different events as well. Tell us about some of that.
Well, we've been kind of holding back, and it's been tough to see what's going on, what Ron Paul's plans are for the RNC. And this is still the million-dollar question. What is the end for Ron? What is the goal going to the RNC with a few hundred delegates, as he'll have? What does he actually want to do? Is it to just sort of hang out and make a statement and vaguely support his son's efforts? Is it to change the platform, get a speaking spot? If he does, what's he going to say? So our original strategy of playing into the Ron Paul campaign strategy of winning over delegates, of swaying delegates at the RNC, of encouraging our stealth delegates, and of making the statement that Ron Paul is the choice of the troops. You know, we're adapting from that, and there's a lot going on. There's been some drama in the organizing, as there always is for things like this. People have been holding back, waiting to see what Ron is going to do, waiting to see how it's going to shake out with the campaign. And so Paul Festival now is officially on for August 24th through the 26th, which is the weekend before the convention. And we're going to be there, Veterans for Ron Paul. We're going to be a presence the entire time. We're going to have our own special presentation on Sunday evening, which will be part of the grand finale of Paul Festival. But the real grand finale for the Ron Paul Revolution, for the movement, and for, you know, at least what we see as Ron Paul's career here, will be on Monday the 27th. And at noon, we're going to be stepping off and leading a march in formation, Veterans for Ron Paul. And we want to see the entire Ron Paul army there with us. We are inviting everyone who wants to join us in saluting Ron Paul to be there on the 27th. Now, Ron has said, in his own words, to be respectful at the convention. So we're not going to go to disrupt, or at least we're not calling on people to do that. People can do that on their own. Obviously, I did it myself in 2008, interrupting John McCain. But we're going to honor Ron's request on this point and march up unpermitted, because Ron has also taught us to assert our rights. So the only permit for this march will be the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States. If we end up protesting H.R. 347 as a result, the Buildings and Grounds Act that made certain forms of protest in Secret Service areas illegal, well, then so be it. We're going to be protesting that too. But we're really here to honor Ron Paul, to show the world the size of the army that he has inspired. And while we're going to be marching 8 miles through the Florida heat There will be opportunities to join us along the way or at the RNC for those members of the Ron Paul Army that aren't quite up on their physical training. But we will be going to make a statement to show the GOP establishment that we are the future of the party, that the neocons will have to acknowledge Ron Paul is the choice of the troops, and we will pay our respects to Ron Paul for the countless sacrifices that he has made in the cause of liberty. And I can't think of a more fitting tribute than this, that we have a massive formation march from the state fairgrounds to the Tampa Times Forum to salute Ron Paul.
Let me add this constructively. What about people who have the view of, no, don't not turn over the apple cart? What about saying, no, obviously the parties are corrupt. We don't want this. We want something that isn't the current GOP party. I know you're saying they're the future. How do you get that message across without necessarily disrupting? Obviously, we don't want riots. We don't want more reason for them to send in people in black masks and batons and grenades and less lethal weapons or something. But how do we send the message that what's going on now is not acceptable? We don't want Robama. We don't want Obamni.
Well, if an idea comes to the surface between now and then and someone says, hey, this is how we do it with riot shields and pitchforks, as long as we don't violate the non-aggression principle, I'm open to considering anything. But I think that what we can start with doing is mustering our forces, making sure that we have a massive show of numbers there. And I think that's enough to scare the establishment. But more importantly, we're already taking over the Republican Party. We don't have to disrupt it. We don't have to destroy it. We are taking it over from the bottom up. And the sad thing is, man, it's really not that hard. I was just brainstorming the other day, what would I do with $1 million? One of those kinds of exercises. And if I could hire, with $1 million, you could hire 40 organizers, probably 50, one for every state as a full-time organizer to recruit people to go into the Republican Party meetings at the county level and take over. Most of these things at their monthly meetings, they only have like 15, 20 people. To actually outnumber them, take it over, and make it fun to be a Republican again, like to make it an exciting party that's fueled by the youth movement around Ron Paul, I think that's what's already happening. Now, whether that's going to be sustainable or not, we'll see. But obviously, the party is changing from the bottom up. And we're just going to show the world, hey, what you see inside the Tampa Times Forum, that's the past and the corrupt present. What you see outside marching for Ron Paul, that's the future.
Is there anything that's going to go on with the delegates Ron Paul does have at the state or at the RNC level in terms of changing the platform or saying, no, this block does not go along with what's happening? Is there any kind of message like that that you see coming out?
Not that I know of. And again, that's part of the $1 million question for Ron, what he's actually going to direct his delegates to do at the RNC other than be respectful. But most of these things are winner-take-all votes. So I really don't see the Ron Paul delegates being able to affect significant change unless it's on party platform issues, which are, of course, as we know, are pretty much irrelevant. Sure. But in the circumstance where you have, minus the Ron Paul people, a 50-50 split in the rest of the delegation, and they don't know which way they want to go, and there's a big government, small government way about it, then yeah, maybe the Ron Paul delegates there will be able to vote one way or the other and affirm that the party in its platform is moving in a smaller government direction. If Ron Paul marshals his forces to do that, he must see some value in it. I don't, but if he does, I trust him to at least support him in that effort and encourage delegates to be a part of whatever he has planned, but also to be ready with whatever it is that you want to do to represent yourself as a delegate at the RNC.
Yeah, more specifically, what do you see that as being?
Well, I'm not going to call on people to disrupt in the way that I did in 2008. As I had a sign that said John McCain votes against vets and you can't win an occupation. But if delegates are able to make a statement like that in a way that is respectful by whatever definition they want to apply, I encourage people to do that. This is the chance to have your voice heard when the whole world will turn its eyes to Tampa Bay. So do something to be visible. If you can do it respectfully, that's usually better than doing it disrespectfully. But the most important thing is to make a powerful statement for liberty.
I agree, and I definitely think we have to remember we're all individuals in this fight for liberty. It's always been bigger than any one person, and that, of course, includes Ron Paul. Anything else you'd like to bring up today, Adam?
Well, I just have a fun event planned, and I got to get in a plug for PorkFest because PorkFest is next week, and there's a lot of people here on the East Coast really looking forward to that. People flying in from all over the country. That's going to be in Lancaster, New Hampshire, porkfest.com. So check it out. But on my way home to Arlington, Virginia from Lancaster, we're going to be stopping by Middleborough, Massachusetts, because just last week, Middleborough, Massachusetts approved legislation that empowers cops to fine you $20 for swearing in public. I mean, this incredible bull statism is unbelievable. This disgusting disregard for the freedom of speech that our founders fought for is now being destroyed in Massachusetts. So the home of the Tea Party, of all places. So we're going to be going there on Monday afternoon, right around lunchtime, and having a free speech demonstration in the middle of the town of Middleborough and an act of civil disobedience. So we've got a Facebook page going up for that right now. It's free speech demonstration. So check that out. It'll be available on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Kokesh for Congress, or you search for Adam Kokesh or Adam versus the Man. And the website for that is adamversustheman.com. But, you know, it's an honor to be involved in independent media with people like you. It's an honor to be included in the INFOWARS Nightly News as an almost regular guest. You know, it's great to see that we have a really, I don't want to say a tight-knit movement, but a movement of people with an incredibly deep mutual respect because we stick to our principles.
Well, it's a filthy mouth you have, but any friend of the First Amendment's a friend of mine. Good to have you on, Adam, and we will indeed talk to you in the future. And that's it for tonight.
You're surprised that in the Marines you learn how to cuss like a sailor?
Oh, I'm just teasing. I'm not an angel either, so. Thanks for tuning in. That's it for tonight's INFOWARS Nightly News. We'll be back again tomorrow.